Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To our panel, Dr. Suhaimi and Puan Suzy. I am Nurul Syahirah binti Nur AZAM and my partner, FIDELEA LOLIK, will presenting our research proposal, which is a study on autism awareness among the students in UiTM SEREMBAN 3. Here it is. Okay, now let's see the research background for this study. And firstly is the American Psychiatric Association, APA, explained that the autism spectrum disorder is a series of neurobehavioral issues that occur a few years after a birth of a child. And in Malaysia, autism is still not getting a proper attention as a development brain disorder in the children. And this study aimed to access the awareness of students in UiTM SEREMBAN 3 toward the children with autism in Malaysia. So it is starting point for the research that focus on the other people, not the autistic children, parents and their family. Okay, now we go through to the research objective for this study. First is to identify the influence of general knowledge of ASD on the prior awareness of ASD student in UiTM SEREMBAN 3. Second one is to determine the relationship between the societal attitude to ASD and the prior awareness of ASD in student UiTM SEREMBAN 3. The third one is to determine the relationship between ASD openness measure and the prior awareness of ASD student in UiTM SEREMBAN 3. And last but not least is to identify the most determinant factor that influence the prior awareness of ASD in UiTM SEREMBAN 3. And here it is also shows the research question, and the research question is the reflection of the research objective.
For the conceptual framework of this research are based on the literature review and understanding of awareness of autism spectrum disorder ASD. The conceptual framework proposes a direct relationship between the independent variable, which are general knowledge of ASD, societal attitude toward ASD, and the ASD openness measure, and the dependent variable, which is the prior awareness of ASD among students in UiTM SEREMBAN 3. For the hypothesis of this research, it was based on the independent variable, and the first independent variable is general knowledge of ASD. And for this research, the hypothesis alternative was accepted, which is there is a significant relationship between general knowledge of ASD and the prior awareness of ASD. And the second independent variable is societal attitude toward ASD, where the hypothesis alternative is accepted, where there is a significant relationship between the societal attitude toward ASD and prior awareness of ASD. And the last hypothesis is the ASD openness measure, where the hypothesis alternative is accepted, where there is a significant relationship between the ASD openness measure and the prior awareness of ASD. In the research method, there are 7 types of research method, and the first is research design, where the quantitative survey was used to conduct the research, where it can increase the amount of data collected so that it can increase the accuracy of the data. And it was also using the cross-sectional study, where it is an observational in nature, and it was also known as descriptive data. Second one is unit of analysis, where our unit of analysis for this research is university student, which are referred to the individual, or the student, which are from the UiTM SEREMBAN 3. The third one is sample size, where the total of sample size for this research is 300 respondents, where the total group selected in UiTM SEREMBAN 3 groups of faculties, which are from FSBAP, FSR, and FSKM. And the fourth one is the sampling technique, where in this research we are using convenient sampling technique, where it is a non-probability sampling process, and we chose convenient sampling because it is easier to identify and it is still within our proximity. One is data measurement, where for an independent variable, there are 3 variables that are measured using the Likert scale, which are 1. Strongly disagree, 2. Disagree, 3. Moderate, 4 agree, and 5 strongly agree. Variable, which is prior awareness of ASD, is also measured using Likert scale. One is data collection, where in the questionnaire form it consists of 5 parts, which is the section A is demographic profile, section B prior awareness of ASD, which is the dependent variable, section C general knowledge of ASD, which is the independent variable, section D societal attitude of ASD, which is the second independent variable, and section E is the last one, which is the ASD openness measure, and it is the last independent variable. Last one is data analysis, where the demographic profile is measured using the percentage and frequency. And the hypothesis is proved by using the Pearson correlation test, where it was to find out the relationship between the independent variable and dependent variable. And the last one is the multiple regression, where it is to find out the most determinant factors that influence the prior awareness of ASD. For the finding for the demographic in terms of gender, female had the highest percentage with 76.3, where in terms of faculty, FSPVP had the highest percentage with 44.7. Of age, the percentage for 19 to 24 years had the highest percentage with 93.3%. And academic qualification, the bachelor student had the highest percentage with 88%. Place of residence had the highest in suburban with 43.3%. And the last demographic is household income of parents. The highest percentage is the RM 1000 till RM 3999 with 55%. The hypothesis testing, and the first objective is to identify the influence of general knowledge of ASD on the prior awareness of ASD in UiTM SEREMBAN 3. And the analysis that was used is Pearson correlation, and the result that we gained from this research is R equal to 0.193, where P equal to 0.01, and the hypothesis result is hypothesis alternative are accepted and rejected hypothesis null. The second objective is to determine the relationship between the societal attitude toward ASD and the prior awareness of ASD in UiTM SEREMBAN 3, where it was using the Pearson correlation for the analysis, and the result for this objective is R equal to 0.230, where P equal to 0.000, and the hypothesis result for this objective is hypothesis alternative are accepted and rejected hypothesis null. And the third objective is to determine the relationship between ASD openness measure and the prior awareness of ASD in UiTM SEREMBAN 3, where we are using the analysis for Pearson correlation, where the result is R equal to 0.308, where P equal to 0.000, and hypothesis result are hypothesis alternative are accepted and rejected hypothesis null. And the last objective for this research is to identify the most dominant factor that influence the prior awareness of ASD, where the analysis that was used is multiple regression, and the result that was gained is independent variable 1 equal to 0.189, independent variable 2 equal to 0.078, and independent variable 3 is 0.261. And the hypothesis result is the strongest independent variable that influence prior awareness of ASD is openness measure of ASD.
Okay, now let's go through to the research recommendation. The first one is the government and NGO needs to provide more facilities for the autistic children, especially in the public places. And the second one is the ministry could increase the existing capacity for the screening and assessment. And the third one is the government, NGO, and the parent of autism children can use the advantages and the power of social media nowadays and the IT in disseminating the information of the awareness about the autism to the public itself. Okay, for the limitation of the study and future recommendation, the first one is the openness measure was used is a VNet in which a protagonist was not labeled as autistic, whereas in the dehumanization measure autism was explicitly mentioned. And the second limitation is the quantitative study. And the future recommendation for this study is the others researcher need to focus more on the accuracy of the data to be collected. Okay, last but not least, let's go through to the conclusion for this study. The main objective of this research are to evaluate the influence of independent variables in the study, which are the general knowledge of ASD, the societal attitude toward the ASD, and ASD openness measure in the prior awareness of ASD, and also to identify the most determinant factor that can influence the prior awareness of ASD in UiTM SEREMBAN 3. And this study can be example for the other researcher to gain a new perspective on how the university student react and the level of their awareness toward the ASD. And this research also shown there are a significant relationship between all the independent variables in the study, and this show that the awareness or understanding the condition of people with ASD are crucial in society in general, and so that the people can have more positive attitude and openness toward the people with ASD.